Been resurrected from death into new life. I'm healed by his stripes and sealed by his light. I feel like I got a meal for a heavyweight fight. That's a small insight to what it's like to be rich in Christ. Cause poor in the spirit means more than being dirt broke. Seeking acceptance in social circles, trying to fill a hole but never even coming close. I thought religion was different and I could really blend in with the church folk. I should've known there's broken souls everywhere you go, and everyone's a friend until an offense reveals a cloak. Common sense can lead you to truth, but that's a loophole. We save a lot of time when we depend on the Holy Ghost. Walk in the spirit, gotta move the way the wind blow. Cause it's not enough to just know the spiritual lingo. The world wants you in chains and not unchained like Django. If you don't board the ark, that's all on you. Do it, float your boat. I'm still my brother's keeper, so I need to let you know that sin is the sickness the law of Moses had to diagnose. You can pop a million pills and still never get healed unless a great physician prescribes the gospel. I hope they catch my drift like a windmill. He goes by many names, but I love Emmanuel. He is God with us. He's a road in this wilderness. He'll never fail to make you the head. Just let time tell. Yeah.
We don't need to be standing around trying to prove to people we are saved. Anybody that rejects your joy and your salvation, your deliverance, don't have what you have. They can't comprehend it. So all you need is just what you know and the Father knows about you.
All praise and glory to the Almighty God. Iron sharpens iron. Shout out to the Almighty Anointed Squad. My brothers raw with the scriptures. They always going hard. Cause this warfare is real. We all got a few battle scars. Must remain watchful. Keep focused. Stay on guard. Cause the enemy deceives as a shining light. That morning star. And every trial produce endurance. So we never pause. No need to sprint in this race. Just keep it at a steady jog. Humble disciple.
My name is Crystal Renee Alexander. I am the oldest sister of Sandy Alexander, Rakema Alexander, Jamia Alexander, Betty Alexander, and Shantae Lisa Alexander, and the sister-in-law of Tempest Lofton.
I know, right? All right. So this is our oldest sister, and if for the record, if you don't mind, how many kids are left, and how many did Loretta, our mother Loretta, have? So.
Well, actually, before I became the oldest, there was a brother. My grandmother's sisters were playing cards, pinochle and stuff like that, right? And he crawled under the zinc. He drunk some, it was a Johnson & Johnson product or some kind of Drano stuff, and it killed him. So then that's how I became the oldest, and this was back in like the 60s. And so from there on, before Shantae, she had lost 2 sons, which Rakema has named her sons after the 2 sons that our mother Loretta Karen Alexander lost. Yes, after the sons that our mother Loretta Karen Alexander lost.
Okay. So we're gonna ask a question and then we're gonna back up. So we gotta get this. This is the easy one. So the easy one is, so tell them who I am. You know me pretty much all my life anyway, so tell me.
Okay, it was Me and Sandy was the two sisters for the longest, but we had got separated at our childhood at an early age because our mother had succumbed drugs. She was introduced to drugs back in the early 60s with called heroin. So it had us, like our family had separated us. So I say like around, wait a minute, this stuff is like, yeah, we had got separated. So
I think I went to the foster home when I was 6.
yeah, so I was about to tell him that because when when Grandma Betty, she had got sick, she started drinking. But let me tell y'all something, right? We grew up in a family that was very religious. House was immaculate, but the upbringing, it was awful. Because I only had my sister with me for like a few months. She came like when she was like 6, and one day I came home from school, I'm running, and I'm like, where my sister at? But nobody never told me where she was. So once again, we got separated again. And then I didn't see her till she was like in her,
13.
yeah, like about 13, since like at, like, oh man, we were separated she was separated immediately after birth though. I was walking then, but she was taken away. I remember they carried her in her arms by Aunt Daisy, right? But she was someplace else where my mom was at the hospital because they was going to take her someplace else. And my Aunt Daisy said no.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yes, and then Aunt Daisy came and got her from the hospital because she wasn't going to be adopted. It wasn't happening. So then later on down the line, Aunt Daisy came to the rescue again. She named Jameer. Got her from the hospital. She was born with like tubes and stuff in her head. She was a breech baby, feet first. And my mom used drugs with her, so her feet were like this. So she had to sleep in the crib like with a bar on and had shoes on the end of this bar to keep Jameer's feet straight. So those two, Cindy and Jameer, were rescued by my Aunt Daisy. I was with my grandmother, my mother's mother, Betty Karen Alexander, and then she went into a diabetic coma. So that's how we had lost the house on 21st and Ontario, which I was originally born in. That's where I had photos too. I should have, But anyway, so this is what happened. They lost the house, so I went and then my Aunt Barbara took custody of me because my grandma Betty was in a coma. So after that, they were too young to keep the house up. So we moved to Abbotsford Projects. At that time, there was white people living in Abbotsford. So her sisters, Elaine and Shirley, which they were tight, they decided to leave their houses and move, for their sister Betty to take care of her. So we had one. Grandma Betty was on at 3104C Abbotsford Road, Philadelphia, PA 19129. My Aunt Elaine was on Authority Terrace, which was up the hill, and then Aunt Shirley was on Berkeley Drive.
I didn't know that you stayed with Aunt Barbara.
Yes.
For a while.
Yes, because her sister Betty, which is my grandmother, was in a diabetic coma. She was in a coma for a long time. So once she came out, oh man, she was doing pretty good. But she had started back to drinking, and then she passed at the age of 46. And my mom and her daughter, which is our mother, Loretta, she passed at 56.
So yeah. So let's talk about okay. So what I remember when being with Daisy, of course, and then I remember Daisy dropping me off over there at Abbotsford, and I wasn't there very long. I do remember that, but I do remember the abuse and stuff like that. But also, I do remember we did have fun playing in the house because we didn't.
Yes, we did. We had every toy up under the sun. And Asia was not playing with my Easy Bake or nothing like that because it was mine, and I was always by myself. And Sandy's favorite doll was Mrs. Beasley. And our aunt, which is my mother's sister, Alicia Yvette Alexander, she has been mean since the day I've known her. She used to hide me and Sandy dolls, our baby dolls from us, right? And right about now, I'm sorry to say, like, for some reason, there's no relationship and no one done nothing to her. She just, for some reason, she just has something against Loretta's daughters. All of it, you name it.
Yeah.
She got it. She was born with it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's Bucky.
Right.
Okay. That's Bucky.
Okay, so when I went to the foster home, do we want to talk about the stuff that we endured before?
Of course, you have to. This, you got to get it out because it's like.
So let's do it this way. So
actually, I feel like this from listening to Annie Lane's story yesterday. We relived their life.
That's right.
They were molested, and it came down into our generation. Right. Her story, what she told, like how our grandmother and their sisters and everything, right? They treated us just like how they was abused, and it passed down all the way down into the molesting and the incest, the drinking, drugs and stuff like that. Yeah,
So when Betty, I believe
we was raised how they was.
Right. So I guess Betty, after the coma, she's now but she goes back to drinking and whatnot. So what I remember is us being left in the house.
My grandma was strict, and we was raised Jehovah's Witnesses, right? She was overprotective of us, right, because of the fact she didn't want what happened with her daughter to happen with us. Okay, so this what she did.
What happened to her daughter?
Loretta, she ended up on drugs. She used to hang with this lady named Vera, soon to be her brother's, my sister Jameer's father. But my dad told him, everybody kept saying, don't hang with her. Well, next thing you know, she was doing drugs. And then she became a drug dealer. But when she had got busted, my grandma said, y'all not gonna lock her up, you gonna put her in a rehab. And they did it. So then on, her and my Uncle Darryl, they became drug dealers. They also have a book called Black Incorporated. And they are in there. And I remember being as a kid, me and Gregory, I remember being in one of her raids. She had a bad house in Jersey. And we were in the kitchen eating baked beans and hot dogs. I'll never forget it. And it was me and Gregory at the table. And he ran in there. She was throwing stuff down the drain, and I snatched our food up off the table, poured it down the drain, and we was just sitting there looking like we were kids,
So I know you have more memory of my mom than I do. I don't have memory. So when I heard that, I do know the book about Black Incorporated, and I think the other author that wrote was I keep saying.
So if someone out there sees this book, could you get in touch with the Alexander family, please?
Yeah, because it's a book, and what did she do? What did she do when she was out there?
We have like
all that.
Yeah, she was with like she also worked. She went. My mom, she was sharp now. She did graduated. She worked at Lovely Ladies. She did this stuff like that and everything. But the company and the friends that she met, it came around us. It is so much I can tell you, getting down to how Peter and Bonnie have got into our life. They were my grandmother Betty's godchildren, and he became like the molester line. And this, that, third, my uncle wanted to kill him. But so far as I know, that when they went down south, he's dead. Don't want to pass it down like a couple times. But anyway, they did what they did. But through like the loving and like, they took us to the zoo, did stuff like that, right? But it was other things that we needed, because we had every toy under the sun. But it was just that affection that we didn't receive from them. And it still hurts us all deep inside. And then there's the part where Like, I hurt because my mom took a lot to the grave. They need to know who their fathers are, their family side. And that's the sad part. So if anyone is looking at this video and you see, like, if these names ring a bell, you need to get, I appreciate if you would get in touch with us, right? So, once my mom had became like the biggest drug dealer, right? She met, how she became one is because she met the kingpin, Chinaman, and which is the father of Jameer, and Sam Christian. Matter of fact, it was Sam Christian and Chinaman, and then they had my mom, the head person, like, you know, she was over top of like the prostitutes that they had. So, which brought in, you know, I got to say this, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is related to my sister Jameer, and she has, Chinaman has about over 20-something children. Her best friends are Helen and Diane. And if you see this, we would like to have y'all get in touch with the Alexander family. And that is how, and then he would send her, Chinaman would have my mom going, send her up to New York. And then that's how she ended up dating one of the Panthers that she met in New York. And how this happened is because she asked my Aunt Sandra, who is now deceased, rest in peace, sweet gal. She had asked Aunt Sandra to watch Jameer. And she took and was like going to turn her in, and then my grandma Betty and Aunt Daisy, they rushed over to her house and they took Jameer in. So took her in. So then my grandma was like, "No, we're going to bring Jameer home," because at the time it was just by myself. I was by myself, and Sandy was with Foster. No, you was with Aunt Daisy, because then you came back. That was the time when me and Jameer, grandma left us in the house by ourselves. And I had to cook, right, and we had Jameer in a high chair. And I went to cook the cream of wheat, and the mouse jumped off the box, and we left Jameer in the high chair and took off. Me and Sandy was gone. And we ate cream of wheat sticks. Nope. So, she has a lot of brothers and stuff like different Chinaman. But this is what I wanted to say, like, well, we know who Jameer's dad is. But, like, she also, my mom also met this guy. What was his dad's own name? That is Rakima's dad's name.
Was it Gary?
Yes, Gary. She met Gary, and he was sharp. He was sharp as a tech. It was all like, see, this was back in the 70s, and they was like, you know, wearing Apple Jacks, and he was real sharp and drugs and everything. And my mom was pregnant with Rakima, and she came over to see her mother, and my grandma Betty, she didn't like him. So after a while, his appearance started dropping, so we can tell that he started getting out of his own supply. His appearance had started dropping. That is Rakima's dad, Gary, and we don't know if he's alive or not, because the last time he was seen was when my mother was going to court with her niece, Amira, who is now deceased, God bless her soul. They were going into court for, you know, her sister, Tarika, and he was out there on the, he was like homeless out on the ground, like just laying there. And then my mom seen him in her way on into the court on Filbert, and she was cussing him out and so that. But she, you know, she did ask Rakim one time, did she want to meet him? But she held it back so long as the Rock said no. But we don't know if he's still alive.
So now, is because, you know, I know Jameer is not in the docuseries, so you guys
right
have not seen her. That's a discussion for a later time.
Okay.
But for now, y'all have seen Betty. So Betty and Jameer got them same shine. We all got those slant eyes, but definitely.
Yes,
Betty,
you and Betty.
yeah, have them. So is
y'all three.
Is China
a little
Man,
bit.
Ain't nobody else got them? Well, is
No.
Is Chinaman Betty's dad?
No, he's he was the light skinned one. I believe his name was Bruce, because that's how she got that B. It's for Betty, and he was tall, very light, and his hair was like very coarse, like a real nappy, like afro. and everything, right? And he had the little chinky eyes, but I don't know if he was mixed or not. So Chinaman is not Betty's dad. Bruce is the light skinned one with the really coarse hair. He was tall and light skinned and very slim.
Okay. So who was your dad?
My dad is Walter Lewis McKinnon.
Tell us about your dad.
My dad,
You
how?
always known your dad though.
Yeah, because I was the first.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I wouldn't know my dad because I was the first. And how that happened was, my family, Daisy, Barbara, Elaine, Aunt Shirley, and Spencer, and so on and so on. They are from North Carolina, Winston-Salem. So my grandmother Betty Cameron Alexander, she was best friends with my dad's mother, which is my grandmother, she's passed, which is Catherine McKinnon. So they were friends. So they came from North Carolina, you know, all together because it was more like good jobs over here and stuff like that. And back then the houses were cheaper. They was up with like Bud's and Tasty Cake back in the day. And that's how they became it. And then they bought the property on, they had the property on 21st Ontario. My grandmother and my grandma Betty, they lived exactly next door to each other.
And that was before Abbotsford, right?
Right.
Okay.
That was before Abbotsford. And that is how her son, Walter Lewis McKinnon, and my mom met up as kids. So it was told from my Uncle Darrell that is deceased now. How they used to, I remember like how they was like being there as I got older because he was real close with, my dad was real close with my grandmother. So that's how I know my dad, because she had the boys and my grandmom had the girls.
Okay.
So that's how that
So
went.
let's say, we'll talk about Shantae's father in a minute. So who was my dad? Because I've never known.
My mom told the family when, cause they said she always carried low, and she did carry low because she had lost a baby recently after Shantae was born. She always did. So when they asked her, my mom told me that she got raped under the bridge. So then she found out she was pregnant. So that's the birth of Sandy. So there was an argument after when Sandy was born, and my uncle, her brother, my mom's brother Darrell, he said it's a big argument, and they were saying that you didn't get raped under the bridge. So they believed that my grandfather, my dad's father, is a possibility. It's Sandy's dad. And I know what my grandfather looked like. And as I got older, I see my grandfather in her every day. And so to me, it's true. And then there they go again. They took a lot of stuff to the grave.
Yeah.
And it is the truth.
And then let's talk about who's Shantae's father?
Shantae's dad is is believed to be Mr. Raymond, which was my grandmother's boyfriend. As we were kids, we were calling him Grandpa. So Mr. Raymond is not Shantae's dad, and y'all all know that, right?
Well, how you gonna leave it like that now? We thought it was Mr. Raymond on it.
No, Mr. Raymond ain't shooting nothing at no daggone 77. You got me on tape. Are you kidding me?
So who was her dad?
Rodney Hickenbottom.
Okay, well that's a name.
Yes. Rodney Hickenbottom. But you know, like I said, my mom kept secrets like that because that is what her aunts did. As when she was growing up, before I was even born, before Sandy was even born, before Jamaica was even born. She repeated the cycle of her aunts and what her mother did. They hid everything about who the daddy was, this and third, and then she done the same thing because Mr. Raymond is too old, he could not do that. That is, Shantae's father is Rodney Hickenbottom, and when she was, because I'm gonna tell you, right, so when she was born, right, people in Abbotsford, you know, they had already knew who my mom was swinging with, right? So therefore, that is how come my sister name is Shantae Lisa Alexander, okay? Because see, Lisa, it was a girl named, you can't be using names like this, you know? So, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, because, you know, then they were saying it, and so then it hit our door. And as time went on down, that's Rodney's daughter. And then I saw him in Max's like maybe like a year or two ago, and you can see the resemblance. But I could understand her. She gave her a good example of, you know, because he did good by her as a day. He did good as a grandfather to me and Alicia and all my other grandmother children. And so,
Mr. Raymond.
yes, because see, that was my grandma's. My grandma had a number of men, but they was on top. And you know, so
Basically, you think Loretta did it to where it would be some type
yeah, she wanted to have like, you know,
cushion or something.
right, you understand? Cause you understand, because everybody is, and listen, see, Rodney Hickenbottom, right? Me, Angel, Sean, it was Noki, Tony, that's right. We used to we had to knock on doors and stuff. So this is where, like how Rodney comes in and starts talking to my mom, because see, Abbotsford saved her life after her mother passed, because she would still be in South Philly somewhere on heroin. So at the end of the day, like, they knew what was going on. You see what I'm saying? So, but how he came into play, because Annie Lane and Rodney Hickenbottom's mother were best friends. So there was me, Angel, Ava, and us, and we would knock on doors and sell the watchtowers, right? So, okay, as she comes up there, by then we're grown, so we think Rodney is one of the dealers up in Abbotsford, this and third, and gets to talk to my mom, so that, right? So, but it came back to the door. So, Mr. Raymond and my grandmother, they were in a relationship. Mr. Raymond was molesting my mother. So that is why he is, why she put him, you gonna take care of Shantae. And he, when he passed, he had left money for all of us, right? Because he know what he done to all of us. You know, from Militia down to my mother. And one time I sat on his lap, I felt that it got hard. Something got hard, and I flew. So, and that's that. And that is, that's her father, Rodney Hickenbottom. Mr. Raymond is not her dad. Mr. Raymond was the molester of my mother and my mother's sister. And at the end of the day, that was my grandmother's common law husband. And then she had dropped him after that, and she started dating Mr. Pot. He became like an alcoholic and always wanting some boiled eggs and eggs running and sunny side up. Then it was my favorite, Theodore, worked at Tasty Cake. Because see, when they came from down south, they came for the jobs. And plus it was still that little slavery, that little racism and stuff going on down there. And I also went through some of that too, along with them. So, so what else?
Okay, so, all right, so what do you know about our birth that?
Well, I can tell you that Jameer and Betty and Rakima, my mom was like, by her selling them drugs and stuff, she ended up picking back up on the heroin. She had them in abandoned houses. So the reason she does her birth certificate, they know where it is, because Betty's birth certificate, because she went into a foster home because of this older lady.
Rakima went into a foster home.
And Betty too.
Oh, okay.
Betty and Rakima they were in separate foster homes, but they was with the same lady as that Jamia was with when they had got him back, when she got sick. And that's when my Aunt Daisy came and got Jamia. So then you gotta remember, that's when Rakima came after Jamia born, and then Betty, see, because the older lady in South Philly, she knew my mom. She used to talk to my grandmom on the phone all the time. So when the lady got old, she couldn't take care of them no more. So I remember Aunt Barb got up and my grandmom, and they told her, you're going to tell us where she is before you leave this earth. And the lady told my Aunt Barbara where they were. And they was in a foster home. So that is where her birth certificate is. So if our cousins, Pam and them, they go through that box and stuff, up in the house because that is where her certificate is. Because she had to have a birth certificate right in order for her to go to the hospital and her appointments. You understand? But the foster home, it wasn't in Philadelphia. That is why the system here is saying that her birth certificate is not here. But when she took Betty, that birth certificate came with her.
Yeah, because I know Rakima
Yes.
was in a foster home here.
Yes, and when they turn you over, they turn over the birth certificate too. And that is the problem with that.
Okay, wow, interesting. Okay, so I want to talk about something that we kind of both went through being there in the house when I was there. Because I never knew who the guy was at.
Peter.
Okay, and who was Peter?
Peter was Grandma Betty's godson, which was Grandma Betty's best friend. Her name was Sibby, and her old man name was Ray. They had adopted Peter and Bonnie, and they was Grandma Betty's godchildren because she was best friends with Sibby. Sibby is the one that adopted them two brother and sister. So he was with us to everybody. Tanya, me, my sister, and everything. But we was just scared like to tell our families about it for some reason. You know, but I pretty much believe so they knew or whatever. But yeah, that's what happened. But they moved down south after my Grandma Betty passed. That's when Sibby passed, and Sibby and Ray and Bonnie and Peter, they went down south. So I found out that they passed. Excuse me, I sneezed. Thank you.
Okay, so when I left in the foster home, did you still deal with being molested and stuff?
No. No, because Mommy came up in there and she wasn't having it. I need Lane and them came up in there and clear a house.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. All right, so now let's move up some years, and I come back. I'm 13 years old. I'm living with Aunt Barbara and everything like that. And I know we didn't really have a chance to see one another, and by this time, Rakeem is there, Betty is there, and everything like that. But there were some times that even I felt like Alicia was one of them, that it felt like they was trying to make a wedge between us.
Yes, because she was always mean to me too. But one day I got enough of her stuff and she came in the door with these crutches, and I just took them and beat the hell out of her ass. I had to give her the business because I got tired of it. And then she used to always, because I was like Grandma's favorite. And Lisha used to run away ungodly. We used to get up in the middle of the night, have to go run looking for her. She put my grandma through hell. And then she got sick again. And she went into the hospital. And I remember missing a year out of school, taking care of my grandmother. And on one day, on a Tuesday, matter of fact, on a Tuesday, I came home and I was coming through the parking lot, and my grandma's other girlfriend, she got me. She said she'd been rushed to the hospital. Late that night, we got a call that she passed away, and Lisha had just told her, "I wish you had died in the hospital." After 2 days later, after saying that, my grandmother, her mother, passed at the age of 46 in the hospital. She was always mean. She used to fight me and all the time and everything, hide my toys. And one day I went to running from her. I still got this scar on my knee from running from Lisha. It was the the old-fashioned kitchen sets we used to have back in the day. It was these bars that was underneath the table. And I ran underneath the table and she chased me. And then it was these metal cabinets. They was white. And it was like a little piece that stuck out. And I was running from her, and I got an L shape on my knee from that. She was always mean, and to this day she still is.
So what about so okay, I'm gonna see if you remember this scar. How I get this scar on back on my thing? You remember that?
Was you burnt?
Who burnt me?
I'm not sure. Who burnt you?
You.
How did I burn you?
I don't know. It's right there.
Well, they kept having me cooking. Maybe you was in the way or something.
So when you
She had to be. They had me playing mommy. I probably did burn it while I was cooking.
you worked the hell out of me.
I don't remember, because they always had me cooking.
Not the fork print. It's a fork print, right?
It was a fork. You better get up out of here. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I see, because that was being a grown up. I was a grown up and I had a fork. And I had to tap her with the fork on the shoulder, like, you know, I was being mean like them. They had me cooking. That's why I'm a cook now. I can cook my behind on too. But I said move.
See? So, I mean, okay, so when you look at us, we're all growing up.
Yeah.
And whatnot, and everybody thought we wasn't going to be nothing because we was liberated.
Whoa, what now?
But what do you think about where we come to now?
I think we are doing very excellent. All the other children is up their hands educated. Yes, we're doing really good. Yes,
And
we
so,
did. Praise God.
We're trying to keep this whole sisterhood, trying to make us closer because we didn't have that.
Yeah, I think we're absolutely more closer than we were as children because we never was raised under the same roof, you know. And then I feel like it's kind of sad because we don't know each other's allergies, blood type, you know. We don't know nothing, which always had me like the religion that we were in. Like if something happened, we couldn't give them blood, but I would say we're pretty much, I'm just saying, we just coming together now as a reunion, like as little kids, like something off of like, you know, like Color Purple or something. Like, cause I was singing it to them at my Shirley's Repairs dinner when I saw them coming to us. Remember the time I sang that to you too? Yeah, so, you know, like, you know, we coming together now, but as children, we were separated.
Right.
All of us, you know, and then it was said that, we may have other sisters out here we don't know about. You know what I'm saying? Because
I heard that mommy had, I heard that she had some miscarriages, some abortions,
yeah,
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot?
No, because she kept losing a lot. But, yeah, but you know, I can't, like, somebody said, because come to find out, the girl, Erica Alexander, she looks just like mommy on Living Single, and she was also adopted.
Right.
And before I knew this, it was like years ago, it was like maybe like 10 years ago, Amira came running in the door and she threw that at me. And like, you know, kept trying to get stuff right. And I was floored because I didn't find out about that. Like, that's why I said it's questioned, because I'm the oldest of us 6 now, but let the truth be told, there may be others that we don't know that, you know what I'm saying? That's that.
Yeah, I got that. All right, I think this has been really helpful. Anything you want to ask me? Any last comments you want to make before we wrap it up?
No, I'm fine, but I'm ready to go back to the camera if anything come across your mind, because see, I'm the type of person you have to throw a question at me in order to, yeah.
Yeah. These are like everything, you know, you're answering questions that when Rakima and them see it, because, you know, from the other night, it's going to make sense to them. And then that's going to be a whole other conversation.
It's going to get emotional because I'm telling you, it's the truth. But see, because to this day, I'm still like a loner. Like, I'm still like living by myself, being by myself. I don't like clinging and smotherness, right? So I don't really do the questions. But if you ask me a question, I'm gonna give it to you, because that's the only part where I'm good at that helps me remember things. Yeah. But as far as me like to question myself, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Before we go, let's talk about this, because I'll let you get more into it. But here's a question. I remember. Uncle Donald. I remember Uncle Daryl, and I remember Uncle Daryl because to me he was my favorite uncle, because he got so tired.
Yes, mine too. Miss him so much.
Betty beating on me, and I'm not saying what he did was right, but to a kid that doesn't understand why they're being beat so much, that was like.
And I believe it's because of the fact that, because my dad and my grandma Betty was very close, and my grandma and my dad's grandmother, they fell apart. Their friendship broke up behind being said that her husband is my sister's father.
Right.
You see, so that drew a wedge.
You think I was being hit for that reason?
Yeah, absolutely. I know so. Okay. Because that's how the argument and everything broke out. And that's when you saw me about to cry the other day. We were doing Annie Lane's thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Absolutely.
Because in my mind, to a kid, because I remember, even when Auntie Lane was talking, I didn't ask her any questions about Betty or nothing like that, but she inserted how, I just went through a lot of, or they were just mean. But to a kid at 4, 5, or 6 years old, none of that makes sense. And so that's what Uncle Daryl.
Abuse went down from generation to generation.
Exactly.
Everything they went through, it came through. It came through back to us from the 30s, from the 40s, from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, up until this day. It is still lingering, but not like it's how we're raising our children, which we're doing an excellent job with our children, which they didn't do with us. But we was born and raised with religion in our house. You know what I'm saying? We prayed over our food, and we had Bible study. I remember every Tuesday and Thursday. We had that religion.
You said something earlier about you was passing out the watchtowers.
Yeah, I mean, had us knocking on doors, selling watchtowers for 15 cents. Yeah, and me and Lisa used to run away and hide up under the bed on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? And one time we was on Henry and Midville, knocking on doors selling watch service, and this dude, this white guy, his wife answered the white guy, his wife answered the door, and he was in the kitchen. He was like, "What they want, breakfast?" And he had like an accent. I don't know if it was German or something. And I bust out laughing, and I was on punishment for like, I don't know, it seemed like forever, because I was a kid. Yeah.
So what are some of the stories you remember? Now, okay, what were some of the stories that you remember about Uncle Daryl? Because I remember the dog.
Well, my Uncle Daryl, he was his kind of me. His dad was good with his hands. He was a gangster. His father was a gangster, and he wasn't a drug dealer. He was good with his hands. He was murdered, and in the coffin, they had chopped his hand off. So then I guess my uncle followed in his footsteps like that. But see, my mom had put him down with it, and then he started making money and stuff like that. But my grandmother Betty, she despised drugs and drug dealers to this day. Because one day her next old man named Mr. Fred, son needed something to wear to the prom. So my grandma Betty went and gave Uncle Daryl's old tux to Mr. Fred to get to his son to wear to the prom. And Uncle Daryl came back like, "Where's my suit?" And then Mr. Fred came right in the house, "Oh, this is a dead man's suit," because the pockets was loaded with drugs. And then my grandma found out that he was a drug dealer, and all hell broke loose. And then he started putting locks on the door, and my grandma Betty said, "You're not putting locks up in here." And they got into a fight, and he hit her. And my Aunt Bob came with a baseball bat, he had broke her nose, stuff like that. And that's what it was. And by them being drug dealers, we was like, listen, they was getting the freights. That's why we had all those nice clothes. We was dressed to a T. And the thing about us, we were raised real good. We didn't get to wear sneakers. I think we was about like 13 or 14. Wow. We had dresses on. We was going to school in the winter with leotards on. Ordering from Spiegel's. Yeah, I didn't get to wear pants. Jeans, sneakers, and stuff. I was like about 15, 14. Because that was around the time, because Grandma Betty had passed. I was just turning like 12, 13. And then Mommy moved in. She tried to keep the padding up. And then one day she broke it. And then until this day, I still not too good with like getting around like on scepter. Because I didn't really get a chance to get out until after my grandma passed. Because see, they kept us, they said we couldn't play with other people because they were worldly people. That's what the being Jehovah's Witness taught us.
Yeah, I know. I remember. So I know life took you. You got married at 18, right?
Oh, my dad wasn't having that, and our family, we were raised like it was a lot of military. We have like cousins, my grandmom, and on my dad's side that was in the war, like in the 17, it goes on. And so that, but he wasn't having it. So when I got pregnant, he was like, no, and then I had a military wedding, December 30th, 1985.
Wow.
In Norfolk, Virginia. And
how did you like it?
It was nice. It was nice for a couple years, and then he got out there and met so on and We was living out there on the base and stuff, and he just got mixed up. His dad just got mixed up with the wrong people out there, and next thing I know, he was on the Harry E. Yarnell, and my mom and Miss Hetty got together and called the ship, and they came and got me and my son, and then later on brought us back to Philadelphia, and then later on he came. And then after that, we just started, that's what happened. We was young.
I don't want to.
But we grew up together. See, Chip, Miss Henny, they wasn't from Abbotsford.
Okay.
They came up down Ontario on 21st Street too. Cause see, me and Daryl's father, we grew up from kindergarten on up. You know what I mean? So that's how come we like the best of friends. Now we didn't break up because it was this and that. We just grew apart. But they was grandma, she you have a girlfriend, Miss Hetty was the girlfriend of a family member, and Don, her brothers and them was friends with my Uncle Daryl. They grew up together, neighborhood, Miss Hetty brothers and stuff, they was friends of Uncle Daryl and them, because they much older than us, right? So that is how Daryl father came in the picture, but we wasn't from the projects.
Yeah. And now, and for those of you that are listening or tuning in, I'm sure that after and while she's been talking, you'll see some of the old excerpts of Abbotsford, and then you'll kind of see some of the new footage. Looks totally different, but
I got some old pictures of how I used to look.
Okay. Well, we're gonna put them up at the end of this episode, but I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but because we do come from a family of alcohol, drugs, and abuse, did you ever get on drugs or anything? And if you want to talk about that.
Yes, it was in my 20s. And then Auntie Lane came along. She said, we ain't having this. I went from rehab to rehab. And then I would if it was in the city, I would run away. So one day, I ran away from there. I went to go knock on the door, and my mom opened the door. She slammed it back, and then I laid them I thought they was going to not take me back. Then they got on the highway and sent me out in the woods. So I would run away no more. And so now everything is fine. It feels good to be coming around. It took a lot because I would get clean, then I would stop, then I would get clean. But this here is yo. The end of the road. I feel good.
Awesome.